Am I the a-hole for not letting my family stay at my apartment because they can't respect my girlfriend's needs? My 22 male, girlfriend of 3 years, 21 female, has severe PTSD. She's been in therapy for years and has really improved over the past few years. The one thing that hasn't improved is that nights are hard for her and she needs very specific things to be able to fall asleep. She needs every window in the apartment to be closed and locked. Our bedroom door has to be locked. She checks the entire apartment 1 to 2 times before going to sleep to make sure everything is how she needs it. The light has to be on and she needs a fan and a heated blanket. From there can't be any loud noises. We don't have anything on the bed or where it can be expected to accidentally make a noise, and we have sound dampening curtains outside our window because if there's any loud noise she'll wake up and I'll have to check the apartment, closets and everything, and convince her that she's safe and can go back to bed. Even with all of this, she still has nights where she wakes up screaming or has nightmares so bad that she vomits. We stayed with my family a few months ago and it was horrible. I explained all of this to my mom and she assured me the doors and windows have locks. They can keep the windows closed at night while she's there. They'll make sure there's no loud noises at night and they have a fan she could use. It was horrible. None of the doors or windows locked. There was no fan. My sister was not quiet at night and they complained about the light so much that we turned it off. We stayed there for 2 nights and she didn't sleep at all for either of those nights, then had rough days because she wasn't sleeping. On the 3rd day, I ended up spending almost $1,000 on an Airbnb so she could sleep. They said I was being ridiculous and that she was exaggerating because there's no way she stayed up for 2 nights. The rest of the visit was okay since she was able to sleep, but they kept making comments about how ridiculous we were being for getting an Airbnb. Now they want to visit our city and stay in our apartment, but I said no because when we stayed with them, it was a shit show and I can't throw her off in her own home. They think we're being dramatic and that if it's that big of a deal, she can stay with her sister while they're here. Our apartment is on her sister's property. Her sister built it specifically so she would be able to move out while still having someone right there when she needs help. But I refused to kick her out so they could stay. Now they're calling us ungrateful and saying my girlfriend hates them and I'm taking her side. Am I the a-hole?
Not the a-hole. They think we're being dramatic, and that if it's that big of a deal, she can stay with her sister while they're here. Why should she? They clearly aren't making any effort to understand. They can pay for somewhere to stay. Besides, it's yours and her apartment. Kudos to you for standing your ground and supporting your girlfriend.
It's actually hers. Her sister built it for her. Had the parents been nice about it, maybe they could have stayed with the sister.
Your family is being dramatic and entitled. Good that you support and protect your girlfriend. I have been where she is. Gets better with time. I still wake up screaming 20 years later, but not often. Your girlfriend can heal if she is surrounded by people who support her. I have been doubting myself so much, whether I have a right to feel as I do, but you cannot stop night terrors by willing them away. With all the self-doubt and guilt for being difficult, you can forget that it's not your fault. People who downplay your nightmares play right into this self-doubt, strengthen the guilt, and make recovery so much harder. Tell her that none of this is her fault. A big rescue dog helped me to feel safe. He's amazing. Could this be something for her? A big cuddly bear who doesn't judge but is quietly present when she is scared. And me wanting to protect my dog, he is blind, helped me to become stronger and more assertive. Win-win. Not the a-hole.
Not the a-hole. They think your girlfriend should vacate her home and live somewhere else for a bit, because her mental health needs are inconvenient to their vacation plans. If your girlfriend doesn't hate them, she's a bloody saint. I hate them, and I'm just a rando on the internet. They can go camp in a ditch.
It's not your apartment. Tell them that. It's her apartment built for her by her sister so she could have some independence but still feel safe. You get to live there because you follow the rules needed for your girlfriend to feel safe. Tell your family that. They have shown that they are not willing to take your girlfriend's PTSD seriously, and because of that they cannot stay at her home. Her needs will not be compromised. Not the a-hole.
Am I the a-hole for forcing my family to eat healthy? I, 44 female, have 3 kids, 16 male, James, 15 female, Liana, and 12 female, Sarah. James is 5 feet 9 inches and about 160 pounds, which is perfectly healthy. Liana is 5 feet 5 inches and at 149 pounds, which seems pretty normal, and I'm not concerned because she and James are both very active. However, Sarah is only 5 feet 2 inches and weighs about 155, and she refuses to participate in sports and such because it makes her feel self-conscious. To try and counter this, I've taken to making much healthier, lighter meals, taking away soda and unhealthy snacks, like potato chips and snack cakes, and taking family walks after dinner. One incident being, this week, Liana had 6.5 hours of dance practice a day. It's a special prep camp, and became upset because I packed her a lunch instead of allowing her to go out to eat during her lunch break. I packed her a salad and a few turkey wraps most days, along with a few sides like hard-boiled eggs. I gave her enough food to have energy during practice, but she became mad because the dance team at her school has a habit of all going out to eat in small groups, sometimes as one big group, and basically carb loading and eating all the junk food they want during intensive weekdays like these because all the calories will burn off anyways. My husband, 44 male, took her side. My husband says it's unfair to be so strict on James and Liana, who are much more active than Sarah is. He told me that I shouldn't be expecting my more active children to eat the same diet as Sarah and that I was setting unfair expectations among my eldest 2 children. In addition, he told me that I shouldn't be completely banning sweet treats from the house because James and Liana knew how to eat them in moderation. My husband told me that I was going to make James and Liana resent me for this, and I rebutted by saying that it was unfair for us to expect our obese child to diet by herself, and this argument continued on. Am I the a-hole for forcing my whole family to eat healthy?
You are the a-hole. Your kids are different people. They need different things. If one daughter is doing 6.5 hours of intense workout, she will need much more calories than someone who isn't. And as a recent teenage girl, fitting in with the group is so much more important than you realize. Also, it's very likely that lunch is their only social time, so if her friends are going out and she isn't getting that connection either. And for your 12-year-old daughter, puberty changes body shape and weight drastically in ways that can be really hard to manage. While eating healthier is good, forcing a completely healthy diet and demonizing unhealthy foods is going to be detrimental to her relationship with food in the future. Same with her body image. If she has hesitation about doing a sport, find some sort of physical activity she has an interest in and encourage her to do that. But forcing exercise won't help when she has no one to make her. Instead of focusing on fixing her being overweight, which I think she's at a fairly average size, try and create healthy habits that she is able to keep up over time. With that, she'll be able to be self-sufficient as well and won't need you pestering her about weight loss later.
You are the a-hole. I packed her a lunch instead of allowing her to go out to eat during her lunch break. I packed her a salad and a few turkey wraps most days, along with a few sides like hard-boiled eggs. Of course she's going to be upset. She wants to eat with her friends. Also, if she's dancing for 6.5 hours, what you're giving her isn't nearly enough. She actually needs carbs. You shouldn't force your older 2 kids to diet when they don't need to. Your husband is right here and you need to listen up. It's unfair for us to expect our obese child to diet by herself. I hope you aren't saying that in earshot of your 12-YO because it isn't healthy either. I get you want to do the right thing, but you're going about it the wrong way. Get some advice from a dietitian so you can guide her eating without making her feel bad or punishing your entire family.
You are the a-hole. Not for trying to have your family eat healthily, but for taking it to the extreme of not allowing for special occasions, and all things in moderation. That goes for all 3 of your children, as you should also be focused on educating Sarah about moderation and not just having her on a strict diet. You need to be able to get Sarah to participate in more activity. Organized team sports are not the only option here. It is also unfair to take a blanket approach to all 3 children tailored exclusively to the needs of one child.
You are the a-hole and you're very clearly not a dietitian. I am going to say this more gently than you deserve, only because I think you will be more likely to hear it. Carb loading is a well-known and common sports practice. Carbohydrates are very important to someone in sports because it prevents muscle breakdown. Without them, the body will go for proteins, which are important for muscles. So congrats, you are making your daughter less healthy, less effective at sport, acting tyrannical over a forced diet, And yes, your husband is correct that they will resent you. When you cause your children to have an injury because you want to pretend to be a doctor, please seek a professional and not Reddit.
Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I don't want his daughter going on vacation with us? My husband has a 16-year-old daughter, Amy, with his ex. She's a huge Disney kid, which I get I was too. We have 2 kids together, Ryan and Ella, 9 years old and 2 years old. Amy goes to Disney usually 5 times a year. Twice with her mom, twice with my husband, and her maternal grandparents take her every Christmas break. The younger kids and I have never gone with my husband and Amy as it's a tradition they've had since she was a baby. We and my husband, me and our 2 kids together, have a trip planned for early August to go to a different theme park for a few days. It was agreed that this would be just the 4 of us trip as it will be our kids' first theme park trip. Initially, my husband said he wasn't inviting Amy as she will have just gotten back from Disney with her mom a few days before. My husband takes her every year over Thanksgiving and spring break. Whenever we've included Amy in any of our trips, she complains nonstop, it's boring, stupid, useless, she hates it, Disney is better, it's a waste of time, and she has a really pissy mood the whole time. I'm not looking forward to that. I think the 2 younger kids deserve a fun time without Amy basically throwing a tantrum. Last time, we went to a water park, Amy got pissy because she wanted Disney again, so she turned off her phone and ran off. We all spent the next several hours looking for her, and by the time we found her it was time to go, and nobody was able to enjoy the day. I told my husband I do not want her to go with us and my reasons why. He says I'm being unfair and Amy is still one of the kids, and if we're taking out 2 then it's only fair to include Amy. I told him if he insists on Amy going, I'll make other accommodations for myself, Ryan and Ella. He told me I'm being an a-hole and tried to see how that would make Amy feel. Am I the a-hole? Edit, Amy has said she does not care at all about our trip. We're going to Legoland, not Disney. My husband wants Amy to go with us since he's worried she'll end up regretting it later if she skips it. Edit 2, Amy hates all things Lego. And when I said separate accommodations, I meant if Amy goes, I'd book a separate room at the same place for me and the younger ones. My husband can room with Amy and deal with her attitude and behavior. In the past, aside from the water park incident, Amy has gotten upset and refused to leave the room, which meant we all had to sit in the room all day because it wouldn't be fair for anyone else to go have fun when she's clearly unhappy. Edit 3, the Disney trips are each a full week, 7 days, each time with resort stay. 14 days a year with her dad, 14 with her mom, and another 7 with her grandparents. It's not a little day trip or 2 to 3 day stay. Our Legoland trip is scheduled for 3 nights with 2 days at the park.
Not the a-hole. At 16 she can be held to appropriate behavior. I understand having her special time with each of her parents, but this seems excessive. Why doesn't their father take Amy on one trip and do older kid things and take the younger ones on one trip and do younger kid things? Aren't 4 yearly trips to Disney sufficient? Why is it okay to regularly exclude 2 children but not the other?
Because he is quite literally a Disney dad, parenting out of guilt. So, there's no money left for his other 2 kids.
Why is he okay with his 16-year-old acting more like a toddler throwing tantrums? If I did that, I wouldn't be getting multiple trips to an expensive amusement park. So fair is fair. He can no longer take solo trips to Disney with only Amy. He now has to take both the 9-year-old and the 2-year-old.
Not the a-hole. So she goes twice with dad for one-on-one time. So why in the hell does he think it's okay to not have one-on-one with his other kids or them together? He doesn't invite them on his trips with her. She does not have to come on every trip you take. Most yes, as it's family time. But no, she doesn't get to act like a toddler and take away time with their dad because they have raised a brat at 16. Personally, I would tell him, either all the kids get treated the same, so each gets a one-on-one trip. That does not mean she gets 2 Disney trips and the other something like a fishing day. If he can't do that, then one trip will not involve her. If he isn't willing to do that, then he needs to stay elsewhere because you refuse to continue allowing him to show favoritism and show his younger kids they are not as important and don't deserve his attention like she does. Sorry, but at this point, everyone is showing the kids where they stand in his heart. Daughter gets to tantrums, and even at 16, everything must stop because she is important. She gets him alone but has to be included for your kids to do anything. Your kids are shown they are not important and that this is their life. She is everything, and they are expected to just accept it.
Am I the a-hole for messing with in-laws when they pretended my vacation house was theirs? I, 45 male, bought land out west for a future vacation house years ago. When my now wife, 37 female, and I were engaged, I finally got around to having it built. I paid for it myself and it is my name only. Wife's fine with this. My mother-in-law has always been a bit weird about it. She grew up in a family that had a compound, long gone, and when I started building she was excited about how we would have a family compound again. It was odd, but I let it slide. She and my father-in-law also would often tell my wife, not me, that they would be staying there on certain dates, rather than asking. We usually don't have people stay there without us. If we wanted that, well, houses in the area Airbnb for $10,000 WK. Recently they were staying there for a week. We have a home watch guy who comes after we leave to make sure water's off, it's all locked up, etc., and checks periodically when vacant. He showed up 2 days after in-laws were to have left and called us to say he found a couple there who said they were visiting the owners, whom they identified as in-laws, and had asked to stay on 4 days after they left. My wife recognized the name, the Smiths, as friends of her parents, nice people, and this wasn't their fault, so we called them and told them the situation but let them stay the extra days. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I decided to mess with the in-laws. I called them and that well pump system had thrown an error code, said, "Our house is very internet connected so it can be managed from afar." Could one of them go to pipe room and FaceTime me so I could walk them through reset? My mother-in-law stammered and said that they had gone to town for the day and couldn't, and that water seemed fine that morning, so could we just have a tech come in a few days? I said it's hard to get techs out there and the caretaker is away, but I could wait till they get back in the evening. I also said, it's weird that you're in town, but I am getting alerts that the garage door has been opened and closed several times during the day. Maybe I should have a neighbor check it out? No, don't, we'll be back. I then told the Smiths that my in-laws were banned and if they showed up they should have them call me to explain. The in-laws drove 4 hours to get back to the house to cover up what had gone on. They called us and I told them that we knew they had been representing the house as their own, giving it to their friends, and they were banned. They protested that they'd have to get a hotel or drive 4 hours back, and I said I didn't give a shit, so long as they got off my property immediately. They whined about how they had made plans later in the summer. I told them they could tell whatever friends they had lied to about having a vacation place the truth or some other outlandish lie, but they weren't coming. My wife then posted on social media, where she is connected with many of in-laws' friends, that the house is mine and any invitations extended were not authorized. In-laws called us jerks.
Not the a-hole. They played stupid games and have won stupid prizes. The house was never theirs to begin with, they had zero right to it. And yet they took some pretty ridiculous liberties with it when you gave them a bit of leeway. They deserve to be exposed and then some.
Not the a-hole, and your wife is solidly behind you. They are the jerks, great way to prove it, too.
Not the a-hole. I wanted justified a rating on this sub, but lacking that. This is funny, they wouldn't have had to drive out there if they had just come clean and said they had gone home but their friend were staying an extra few days. They need to learn the difference between private land and family land.
Not the a-hole. I'd be curious to find out if the ILs had ever charged their friends to use your place though.
The county where this place is enforces STR registration requirements and does use some service to scan the biggest apps to find unregistered ones, so if the in-laws were actually renting it via apps, I probably would have found out already. But privately charging, who knows?
Not the a-hole, nicely played. They're gonna regret this for a while. You may as well, but they needed putting in their place.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos.